Today I'd like to talk to you about the Denali CanSmart controller combined with one or two sets of lights in the front of your motorcycle, a brake light in the back, and an enhanced horn, a SoundBomb or a mini SoundBomb like I've put on. How often do you buy lights in the old days? You have all these wires, and you got to wire them to the battery. You also got to find a trigger wire that goes on when your ignition goes on, and you got to run these wires throughout your bike. So often what people use is a fuse block, right? A PDM60, for example, and the PDM60 is perfect. I have it in one of my bikes. However, this is better, okay, for many, many reasons. Number one, this hooks into your CAN bus system, and I'm going to show you this on the bike. So basically, it's a matter of plugs. Everybody can do a plug. It's a perfect do-it-yourself project, okay? So we don't have to worry about using soldering or using posi taps or any of the systems like that, because everything is plug. So we take the Denali controller and we unplug the plug from our CAN bus system, plug the Denali controller into it, and then plug that plug into the Denali controller, so it goes in between. It's that simple. Once you've done that, the Denali has 4 other plugs of different sizes so that you know the difference. They have different lengths and different sizes coming out of the controller. So one is for your main set of lights in the front. There's a second one for your second set of lights in the front. There's a third one for your brake light, and a fourth for the horn. And all you have to do is mount these on your motorcycle, tie clip the wires to wherever your CanSmart is, and then plug everything in. And then you only have 2 connections to do, and that's to your battery. And everybody can do that because it's red and black. Very simple. Positive and negative. So you run these 2 little wires to your battery, connect them to your battery, and you're all set to go. Now, when it's plugged into your CAN bus system, it now knows a lot of information. And it can also integrate with the existing controls of your motorcycle. So for example, it knows night and day. It knows the difference because on the BMW, for example, it has sensors that know the difference between night and day. It dims lights and things like that. It also knows what speed you're going. It also knows when you're decelerating. It knows a lot of information. It knows when you push your horn. It knows when you put your high beams on. Therefore, since it knows all these things, it can control your lights, your horn, and your brake light accordingly. So you can actually program these things into your CanSmart using a notebook computer or a computer connected to the CanSmart via a USB cable. That's it. A typical USB cable that you have at home. I think it's USB-C to USB. What does this do for us? Well, it does some really cool things. And last week I drove to Toronto, and I left at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I got to see how great this system was. First off, you can control the intensity of your lights. You pre-program this into your system so that, for example, during the daytime, your lights could be running at 50% under regular beam and 100% under high beam. You could control it so that it runs 40% or 30% at night under the regular beam and 100% on the high beam. And you can do that with a second set of lights as well. So for example, after my trip to Toronto, I've decided to put on a second set of lights, and they will be long distance, and they will only go on when I put my high beams on, because I don't want to blind oncoming traffic. So these will be when I'm driving the country roads, which I do often, and I'll be able to put my high beams on, and I'll have the wide angles, which I put on, my motorcycle lights, and these far out lights on the high beam. When I see oncoming traffic, I just reduce it. So we can do that. We can also program the lights. So for example, it has a passing feature. When you pull on your high beams 3 times quickly, your lights start to flash in 3 bursts, which is really cool. Trust me. I was on the 401, it's dark, the transports are driving, I want to pass them, I give them that, they see this you know, I don't know how to do it or explain it, but you'll see later on in this video. And right away, they pulled over to the far right of the line and gave me plenty of room to pass, and there was no mistaking that I was there. The next thing I really like is the combination of programming the lights with the horn. So when you punch the horn, the lights start flashing at 100% intensity. So imagine you see a motorcycle coming and you hear this horn, and first of all, you do hear the horn because we've added a SoundBomb horn from Denali, and I put the Mini on and it's loud enough. Trust me, everybody hears it. But not only do you hear it, you see these lights flashing in high intensity, so you really get noticed. Then you have your brake lights. The brake lights can be controlled so that they go on 100% intensity when you have the brakes, 30-40% intensity while you're riding, and you can also program to come on when they decelerate. And there's a bunch of other settings that we'll show you in the software. Most of these settings are set up under the default. So, I mean, you can go in and have a look at what's set as default and make the adjustments accordingly. Another setup I like is the hazard lights. When they blink, the high beams blink alternatively. So it's blink, 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 much like a cop car. So you really get noticed on the highway. There's a few other things that are interesting that we'll review. One of the other things that I should mention is because it's in the CAN bus system, you can control it with existing controls. So for example, on my BMW, the left-right turn signal, when you push it in and hold it for 3 or 4 seconds, it turns the front lights off. And if you hold it again, it turns them on. So that's something you could do if you're driving and you find that it's really disturbing people, you can turn them off. Or if you're in a state where they don't allow additional lighting, you can turn them off easily. Also, if you want to make an adjustment on the intensity of the lights at any time, you can hold the wheel, the turn wheel that integrates with the GPS on the BMW. You can pull that to the left, hold that for 4 seconds, and you'll see a burst of light come out of the front, and then you just rotate that wheel, the existing wheel, and it goes from 0 to 100% intensity. So you can control the lights with your existing controllers. So there's no switches to put on. And that's the thing, when you have other lights, you have to wire it to the PDM60, the fuse box, you got all these wires to connect, and you also have to wire a switch up to the handlebars, and you got more stuff on your handlebars to worry about. This puts it all in the existing BMW controls and system, and it all works seamlessly. So really, if you can plug in a USB cable to a computer, you can do this installation. So I'll show you how we did it. It was so easy, so fast, we didn't even have time to film it. So you'll see, it's one of those things that you could do in an hour and a half and have your bike on the road working perfectly. So let's have a look. And thanks to Motorcycle Innovation for providing all this to me. And what I should mention here is that all of the parts from Denali are available at Motorcycle Innovation, and you can just call Matt and place your order, and if it's not online, he can get it for you anyhow. So Motorcycle Innovation is where I buy my stuff. Their service is great, and they stand behind their products. So if you have any problems at all, just give Matt a call and he'll work it out with you. So let's go have a look at how the installation was done. Then we'll look at how the lights work, and we'll also look at the programming part on the computer. So this should be an interesting next 15 minutes. Stay tuned. Okay, so the first thing I did is Denali sends a nice little light Fender mount that basically goes right on the Fender bolt here. So basically what they provide you is lots of different size bolts and spacers, and basically all you do is unscrew the bolt there, replace it with a spacer, and put the light on. How easy is that? That takes a matter of 10 minutes. We put in a few locking washers that weren't included just to make sure that they don't move too easy. That's all we did in addition to this. And then you just wire the wires up through here. We tie clip them to the brake line, and we remove this panel. And this is very easy to remove. Basically you got one, two, there's a screw inside here, and then you remove this screw here, and this comes off, and there's screws under there. So really this takes 5-10 minutes to remove. And then we just ran the wires through the frame, up underneath here through the gas tank, under the seat, into the back here. It was that simple, and you can see the tie clips. The wire comes along here, goes along the bottom, and into the back. So it's a clean installation. So we did that with the lights, and we did that with the horn, okay? And basically these go together. Now you can have another set of lights that you can have a mount that comes out here, and basically you could have another set of lights here, or you could mount them up here if you prefer. So in this case, I'll list the parts that I bought. We had the lights, we had an extension cable clip. So the lights go up to here, clip onto a cable that goes back here. So that was included with the mounting system. So let's have a look at the back and the CanSmart and how that went on. So this, I think we all agree, is a piece of cake. Okay, if we're looking at this piece here, it screws, 2 screws underneath your license plate. So what I did is I had a fancy license plate holder, so we put a little bracket in to drop it down so it fits just underneath that instead of covering it. So that worked out perfectly. And then the wires, what we did is we used 2 3M stickies that clip the wires, and we just clipped it under here, which seems to be holding really good. And then we just ran the wire through here. We didn't have to take anything apart, and it comes out on the other side to the CanSmart system. So this one really was a piece of cake. So here we have the CAN bus, or the CanSmart, and basically it plugs in right under. There's a little plug right here that you can reach under with your fingers and pull it out, and then plug the CAN bus into it, and you just plug that into that plug there, and then the plug goes into the CanSmart. So this plug was in there. We pulled it out. There's a little release clip. Plug it into the CanSmart and plug the CanSmart into the CAN bus. So that's step 1. Step 2, we had the front lights, the brake lights, and the horn, and we just plug these in with these little plugs here. You can see them, they just snap in, 1, 2, and 3 here. Now what we've done is we've taped the 4th one up for now, and that's reserved for the 2nd set of lights in the front. And then last but not least, we have the 2 wires here that basically the 2 wires that go under here and went through the seat to the battery. So that's all there is to it. So there's 2 wires we ran under the seat to the battery. That was easy. You just lift the seat up and go under right to the battery. So the only 2 connections we made were to the battery. Everything else was plugged in, and it fits under here perfectly. Okay, so I have a computer set up with the USB cable plugged into the CanSmart, and this is where I show my age, and I need my glasses. So let's have a look at the software. So when you first boot up this software for CanSmart by Denali, you'll see that it says no CAN bus connection detected, please turn ignition on. So in order to program anything, we have to turn the ignition on. Once we do that, you can see that I have control of everything. So here would be my high beams. And it says for high beams, I want the lights to be, I can adjust the intensity during the day and during the night. So as far as I'm concerned, during the day or during the night, when I put on my high beams, I want 100% intensity. However, the daytime is something different for the low beams. On the low beams, I put the daytime at 50% and at nighttime about 70%. So, you know, I could adjust that a bit, but that's what I have it here. In addition, it says I can turn off when signal's active. So in other words, I turn the lights off when the signal lights are on. Strobe when horn is active, so that'll give me a strobe light when the horn is activated. Strobe on flash to pass, so that is work. Inverse flashing with hazard lights active, that'll go blink, 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 blink between our lights and the hazard lights. Now, if you weren't using the Denali lights, you could have a choice to use a 2-wire dimming mode or a simple circuit override. So you could use this plug switch for anything else. So if you didn't want to put lights, it works like a PDM 60 fuse block. You can then set the power, voltage, and amperage for each of these systems. So if I scroll down, this would be for my auxiliary lights. So this would be for my second set of lights here, which I don't have installed at the moment. Then I have my horn. Since I have a horn, I put horn enabled. Or I could override this and connect a GPS or a heating device, like a heating system for my coat or gloves. And then I have my rear brake lights. So what I have here, I've set my rear lights to be at 30% running and 100% intensity when I brake. And I have auto flash deceleration activating flashing, okay? And again, I could override this by simply clicking this, and therefore it's not a brake light, it's instead going to be whatever I want it to be, and then I can adjust the amperage. Up here you have additional settings. So you have a diagnostics tool, and you have extra settings. So here our extra settings would include the adjust auxiliary light flashing intensity, adjust brake flashing travel speed threshold. So this would be, do I want the brake lights to come on and off at a certain speed or under a certain speed? And then adjust auto flash deceleration sensitivity, okay? And of course, if I do these switches here, like to a single override, then I would have the option to adjust the fuse amps to whatever fuse I want, okay? And finally, we have a diagnostics tool, which will tell us, for example, light circuit 1 is 0.8 amps, 1.24 peak. It tells me exactly what's going on in my system. So this is like far better in a way than a lot of fuse blocks are. And you have total control, and it's very simple. And again, USB, USB plug, plug the lights into each other. So let's have a look at how this all plays out on the bike itself. Here we have the two lights. So this we set at 30%. Brake, brake, brake. So let's have a look at the lights. I'm going to start the engine, sorry about that, but it'll show you the whole effect with the front. So you can see here the lights are on at 50%. High beams. The one that is my favorite are the passing. You click 3 times quickly on the high beam, like 1, 2, 3. This really lets people know you're passing. Hazard lights. how they go back and forth. Okay, this is a good one too, the horn and the light. Is that loud enough? Okay. Then what we have is the ability to put high beams, low beams, then control it. So by turning the left-right turn signal, by canceling it, by pushing it for 3 seconds, it turns the lights off. And I can turn them back on by pushing it for 3 seconds again. Additionally, on the rotating wheel, if I pull to the left for 3-4 seconds, these will blink twice, and then I can control the intensity of those lights. Turn them off, bring them on to 100%, whatever I like. High beam, horn, hazards. Can you ask for more than that? 50%. High beams. The one that is my favorite are the passing. You click 3 times quickly on the high beam, like 1, 2, 3. This really lets people know you're passing. Hazard lights. How they go back and forth. Okay, this is a good one too, the horn and the light. Is that loud enough? Okay.